Formula is this very, very important formula, and it's used for solving any quadratic equation that you have. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So it has to be equal to 0 on the right side, but then you can just plug into this formula and you will always get the answer. Okay? We've learned like 3 or 4 different ways to solve quadratic equations. We've learned how to solve by factoring. We've learned how to solve by graphing. We've learned how to solve by taking squares of both sides. And then we learned how to solve by completing the square. So there's like 4 or 5 different ways. And a lot of times those are more efficient than using the quadratic formula. But the quadratic formula is something that you can use every single time to solve a quadratic equation. So if you don't know how to factor it or something like that, you can always use the quadratic formula. And this is what it is. And it comes out of, all someone did was they solved this equation for x. And they end up getting that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. All right? And the way that it works is, I'll show you right here. So I'm going to make this this piece a little bit bigger, and you can kind of do this one along with me. I don't have you have the quadratic formula in front of you, but I had it memorized, so because I've been doing it forever.
And there's also little songs online.
Yeah, we're gonna play after
Perfect.
we do a couple problems.
Perfect.
Okay. So first thing you have to do when you're doing this type of problem, you have to get this side equal to 0. So what I would do is subtract 5x from both sides, because you have to make the. Okay, can I move? Yes. Right. So you have to make this side. You have to make the right side equal to 0. So when I do that, I get x squared, and I'm going to put the 5x in front of the 6, minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. And now I have my letters, okay? So when there's nothing here, what is actually in front of the x squared? There's actually a 1 here. So a is right there, and it's 1. And b is right there, and it's negative 5. And 6 is right there, and that's c, and it's 6. So plugging into the quadratic formula, all you do is plug and chug. So it's negative. I'm going to plug it in exactly, without simplifying first, so you can see where it is. So it's negative b, right? Negative 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is negative 5, and you have to put this in parentheses like that. Negative 5, that's b squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 6, the whole thing over 2a, which in this case is 2 times 1. Everyone see where I got those numbers from? Okay, b squared, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now the hard part with quadratic formula is simplifying everything, okay? So what's a negative 5 turn into? What's a negative? That turns into a positive 5, right? So I have a positive 5 plus or minus, what's the square root of negative 5 squared? Positive 25. That's why you got to remember to put that in parentheses, otherwise you're going to get the wrong sign and your answer is going to be messed up. So that's equal to 25, and then you just multiply minus 4 times 1 times 6. So it's 4 times 6. What's 4 times 6? 24. That whole thing over 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay? Now I'm going to squish these things together a little bit more. 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 24, which is 1 over 2. Everyone with me there? What's the square root of 1? 1. Okay? So I have two different equations. Oh, and this is x equals, right? You're solving for x. X equals. So I have two equations. One says 5 plus 1 divided by 2, or x equals 5 minus 1 divided by 2. Well, 5 plus 1 is 6. Divided by 2 gives me, what's 6 divided by 2? 3. And 5 minus 1 is 4. Divided by 2 is 4 divided by 2, 2. And those are my two answers using the quadratic formula. And you could plug those back in to make sure they would work, and they would work. I guarantee it. As Tom Shane would say. That's what he said. You know Tom? You don't know who Tom Shane is? You wait. So going back, class. Now notice this was x squared minus 5x plus 6. So probably I would not do this problem this way, because I can see that this problem is way, way easier, because I've been doing math for a long time. I can see that this is way easier to factor to x minus 3 and x minus 2, right? Because this time just gives you minus 5x, and this time just gives you plus 6. And then I would draw my little squiggly line and say that either x equals 3 or x equals 2. That's the way I would do it, because it's way faster, okay, by factoring. But if you hate factoring and you can't figure it out any other way, then the quadratic formula is very, very useful, okay? So notice I got this answer here. I would have gotten the same answer there. I could have also done completing the square, but that would have been kind of ugly as well, okay? So quadratic formula works. It's especially useful when you have a quadratic equation that doesn't come out even, okay? So for example, here's, do you guys want to try one that does come out even using the quadratic formula? Why don't you guys try to do this one, okay? See what you do. Take about 5 minutes and see if you could solve that one using just the steps that I just did on them. So give this one a shot, okay? I'm going to hit pause. Pause. Let's, am I pausing or I'm going? Okay. So with this one, I'm going to go through it kind of quick. So plugging in here, I get x equals negative b. So it's negative negative 2, which would be positive 2. Yes? Negative negative 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So that's negative 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 8. That whole thing over 2a, and a again is 1, so it's just 2. Right? And then when I simplify that, I get x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of, what's negative 2 squared? 4. And then this is a negative times a negative, right? Times 1, which makes plus 32 over 2. Okay, which gives you x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 36. Who knows what the square root of 36 is? 6. So it's 2 plus or minus 6 over 2, which means that x equals 2 plus 6 divided by 2, or 2 minus 6 divided by 2, which gives you x equals 8 divided by 2, which is 4, or negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2. Okay? And that's both of your answers. Let's hit record. So the reason quadratic formula is really useful when you have x values that aren't exact numbers or even rational numbers, like 1/2 or 3/4 and stuff like that. So round your answer to the nearest hundredth. Alright? So again, all you're going to do is plug into the formula. So in this case, we're going to get x equals negative b, right? So that'd be negative 4 plus or minus the square root of positive 4 squared minus 4 times a. What's a today? What's a in this case? What's the number in front of the x squared? 2. What's c? Negative 7. You take the sign right before it, so it's negative 7. That whole thing over 2a, and a in this case is 2. Okay? So now I'm going to simplify that a little bit. It's negative 4 plus or minus 16 plus negative times a negative makes a positive, right? So it's square root of 16 plus 2856. So I'm going to just jump ahead here a little bit. 56 plus 16. What's 56 plus 16? 72. 72, is that right? 72 over 4. Okay? So if you left it like this, that'd be pretty good. You could still simplify it using some of those things that we learned. But in the book, all they say is now find the answer. This would be an exact answer. But if they say find the answer to the nearest hundredth, okay, you have minus 4 plus the square root of 72 divided by 4, or negative 4 minus the square root of 72 divided by 4. Okay? Then you're going to get your calculator out. Is that my calculator? Where's my calculator? Here's my calculator. My calculator. There it is. First I have to go view, always in front. Alright. And so I'm going to go, the first one is going to be negative 4 plus the square root of 72. So it's negative, this is a negative sign down here, not this one. So negative 4 plus, and in this calculator I could just go second square root of 72. And then you got to make sure that you're outside of that box. I think with this, you should hit enter, or else you have to put this thing in parentheses and then divide by 4. So I'm going to get enter. That gives you 4.85 on the top. And then I'm going to divide that answer by 4. Okay? And so this gives me x equals 1.12 rounded to the nearest hundredth. Okay? There's one answer. And then for the other answer, I can kind of cheat. Can I do that? I'll just do it. So I'm going to go negative 4 minus the square roots of 72. And then I'm going to hit enter first. Now you could put that in parentheses, so you don't have to do it that way. Divided by 4. And I get my other answer is negative 3.12. Negative 3.12. And those are your two answers. X equals positive 1.12 or negative 3.12. And again, what that means, what you're finding is where on this parabola is x equal to 0. And one place is over here at negative 3.12, and over here is at positive. So you're finding these two places where it crosses the x-axis. Do you think you could do that? Should we have a U try? Okay. So, the next one is you try. Here it is. You try to do this one. Ready? Right? So, oh, you do? Oh, okay. That's easy.
Yeah.
I need.
Same color.
I like a different color just because I can. So, here we go. Whoops. I'm going to start again. So, we have negative b, so it's negative 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 25, minus 4 times a, which is negative 3, times c, I'm going to extend this box, times c, which is negative 2, the whole thing over 2a, which is negative 3. Right? So when I simplify that, you have to be careful here, okay? Minus 5 plus or minus the square root of 25. Minus times a minus makes a plus, times a minus again makes a what? Minus times a minus times a minus. Am I going to get a negative answer or a positive answer? Negative, right? Because it's a minus times a minus makes a plus times another minus. So just multiply all those together. 4 times 3 is 12 times 2 makes 24 over negative 6. And this is equal to 1. What's the square root of 1? What's the square root of 1? 1, right? So you have minus 5 plus or minus 1 over negative 6. And so then when I break it into two parts, I have minus 5 plus 1. Whoops, plus 1, not 6. Plus 1 divided by negative 6, or x equals, or negative 5 minus 1 divided by negative 6. And negative 5 plus 1 makes negative 4 divided by negative 6. And negative, so you get a negative divided by a negative, which is a positive 4 over 6, or 2/3, or as Sarah said, 0.67 repeating, or 6 repeating, right? And this one just gives you negative 6 divided by negative 6, which is x equals 1. So here's my two answers, x equals 2/3, or x equals 1. Last thing that you're going to see is a word problem. You want me to go back? You guys want to write that down? You need to write that down, or I'll pause for a minute. You guys shy away from word problems too much, and you can't just skip it, okay? And if you see a word problem, you should say, well, I know it's got to have to do with, what we were talking about. And so suppose a football player kicks a ball at initial velocity of 47 feet per second. The starting height of the football is 3 feet. If no one catches the football, how long will it be in the air? Okay? So here's the basic formula. That's a formula for what's called projectile motion. When you kick something in the air or throw something in the air, and it goes like this. And this will give you the height, and this will give you the time. So notice, whoops, that should say squared, not, I messed up. That should say 16 t squared, not b squared. I messed this up. H equals negative 16 t squared plus bt plus 6. I have to fix that. That's a typo. Okay? So the only thing you have to change in this formula in this particular problem, this is your initial velocity. Okay? And so h equals negative 16 t squared plus 47t plus 6. And it says if no one catches the football, how long will it be in the air? How high will it be when it's no longer in the air? How high will it be when it's no longer in the air? When the ball, so what happens is here's a ball, right? And it's going to start off at some height, and here's time, and then eventually it's going to hit the ground. So what they're saying is this is 0, comma 3 over here. And you launch it. Okay? What will be its height when it hits the ground? What will be its height when it hits the ground? 0, right? So they want to know what is the time when it hits the ground. So this one would be just about impossible to factor. So I'm going to plug this into quadratic formula, and this is where quadratic formula is the most useful. So I'm going to go negative 47, that's b, plus or minus the square root of, so t equals in this case, because that's a variable, negative 47, b squared, which is some big huge mama number, b squared minus 4 times a, which is negative 16, times c, which is 6. That whole thing over 2a, 2 times negative 16. And you say, I can't do this, it's got all these big huge numbers in it. Okay? They're just numbers. Okay? You just plug them into your calculator. Right? And if you do plug that into your calculator, after simplifying, you get t equals negative 47 plus or minus, this comes out, after I simplify all this, I kind of cheated. After I simplify all this, I get 2401 inside the square root thing, and then I have a negative 32 on the bottom. Okay? And so that's if you square 47 and then you multiply it by, or you subtract 4 times negative 16 times 6. That's what you would get. And so you get t equals negative 47 plus the square root of 2401 divided by negative 32, or negative 47 minus the square root of 2401 divided by negative 32. And if you do this one, you get negative 0.06. For this one, you get negative 0.06. And for this one, you get positive, exactly positive 3. So here's your two answers. Okay? Now it so happens you're trying to figure out what time the ball hits the ground. So which of these things can I throw away? I can throw away the negative 1, because what that negative 1 really corresponds to is, if I were to continue this parabola backwards, it corresponds to that point over there, which would be negative time. And we don't really have negative time unless you're going faster than the speed of light, so we're not going to talk about that, right? And so your answer is right here, which is 3 seconds. So that's how long it takes the ball to hit the ground. And scientists and physicists can predict that based on this very well-known formula for projectile motion. All right? So, hopefully I only gave you one word problem. That's just like that. So hopefully you should be able to do that. And I assigned the odd problem so you could check your answers. And your homework is right there on the bottom of this assignment sheet. Okay? And there you go. Your homework.